vice chairs, and I kept fighting with it.
Is there a note? That's usually a note about cell phones. Miss Stacy's sick. She's not feeling good. Miss Stacy. Is that the one? Okay. Good evening, everyone. Our January 22nd, 2024 meeting is now called to order. We will have invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Will we stand for both of those? Shall we pray? Oh, dear God, we thank you for this day that we have, a day to be appreciative and grateful, a day to spend time with the ones we love, a day to fulfill our duties, whatever role we have with the city. My prayer is that each one of us will give 100% to the task that we've committed ourselves to. That we'll be serious about what's before us. Thank you now for your guidance. Thank you for your hand. Thank you for the ability to think clearly and to think in an intelligent manner about the matters facing our city. We know we cannot do it without you. It's in your son Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Councilman Harrington.
Please follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Councilman Harrington. Before we move any farther, please take a moment to silence your cell phones. I just had to do that myself during this meeting. The City Council encourages public participation. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. We will have a couple audibles on that today, as we have, a few people from out of town, and we want to give them a little bit more than that. Comments, however, this time they may be reduced or increased if there are numerous speakers on a particular item. To ensure efficient proceedings, all persons addressing the City Council shall state their name and shall speak in a civil and courteous manner. Speakers shall address the agenda topic only to which they are speaking on and shall not be repetitive. Members of the audience, please respect the rights of others and refrain from creating noise or other disturbances so as to disrupt or disturb persons who are addressing the City Council, council members who are speaking, or otherwise impede the orderly conduct of the meeting. Again, I thank you for adhering to those instructions. All right, we're now up to the next item on the agenda, which is the reading and approval of the minutes from our January 8th, 2024 meeting.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the minutes of January 8th and that the minutes, the minutes be dispensed with.
Second.
All right, the
January
motion has been made and
2024.
seconded. I'm sorry, say that again?
I said I made a motion of the minutes of January 8th, 2024.
Okay,
Dispensed with and that be approved.
gotcha. I think we got a second from Councilman Nielsen, correct?
Yes.
All right. Motion has been made and seconded to dispense with the reading and to adopt the minutes as they have been recorded. And any comment about that? All right, seeing none. Mrs. Hamilton, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. I think everybody heard the noise. We do have some individuals on Zoom for one of our items, so just wanted to make you aware of that. All right. Before we go any farther, I know we don't see it on the agenda, but it may have been on the agenda on our January 8th meeting. But we have Ms. Donna Williams here with us today, As you know, for the last 4 or 5 months, we've been recognizing employees at our city council meeting, and we just, rotate through the departments and this planning and zoning. And Ms. Rock has selected Ms. Donna Williams to, be recognized as the employee of the month, if you will. So, Ms. Rock, is there anything you may want to say about Ms. Williams?
Ms. Williams, it's been a pleasure working with Ms. Williams these last 2 years. She's very dedicated, very detail-oriented in everything that she does. She puts her heart into everything that she does. She's just a pleasure. I've depended on her for the last 2 years strongly, and I hope that she continues with me until we both retire.
All right. All right, again, thank you for that, and certainly, Ms. Williams, we appreciate your service to the city. You're at City Hall, so I get to see you every day, and certainly appreciate your commitment. We want Ms. Rock to come, and I will get Mr. Kevin to snap a picture of us. We actually already did it, but we want to do it here. So we have a, certificate just to say we appreciate her work. And also there's a City of Natchitoches tumbler, if you will, that she received just like all the other employees. All right? Let's do it.
Thank you, Donna.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Donna. You do a great job. I won't work with you no more today.
All righty. Okay, what we want to do at this particular point, as our city attorney is near, we want to basically just come back. I don't think any action is needed. We're just going to go to ordinance number 001 of 2024, read by Councilman Nielsen, and we'll pick up the other ordinance later on in the agenda.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 001 of 2024, an ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Natchitoches to award the bid consisting of AG ramp and wash rack airport improvement, state project number H015663, and its bid number 0665. Whereas resolution number 105 of 2023 was passed by the Natchitoches City Council on November 13, 2023, authorizing the mayor to advertise for bids consisting of AG ramp, wash rack, airport improvement, state project 015663, and whereas the bid was advertised in the Natchitoches Times November 16, November 23, and November 30, 2023, in accordance with law, and whereas 2 bid proposals were received and opened as follows. Bid number 1 was regional construction for $279,700, and bid number 2 was Merrick LLC out of Cottonport, Louisiana for $303,147, and the appointed committee of Clarissa Smith, Finance Director Ed Lee, Director of Purchasing Larry Cooper, Airport Manager, and Rosemary Eli, Councilwoman, reviewed the bid proposals for bids consisting of the ag ramp, wash rack, airport improvement, and whereas the above appointed committee members unanimously recommend the city award the bid to the lowest bidder, Regional Construction LLC, in the amount of $279,700. And I move that we adopt ordinance number 001 of 2024.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. This has been on the agenda, I know. Any comment about this? All right. Seeing none, Mrs. Hamilton, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Next item is read by Councilman Harrington.
This is ordinance 002-2024, an ordinance to designate funds from the American Rescue Plan for use by the city of Natchitoches to provide funding for the cost of juvenile housing, authorizing the execution of any and all documents, contracts, and/or agreements, and otherwise providing with respect thereto. This was introduced previously. I move to adopt ordinance 002-2024.
I second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. I think everybody has heard about the challenges of housing for juveniles who commit certain acts in the city. And we basically, for a long time, just had one facility that we would have a relationship with. And I've mentioned this before, but I think MPD has been wise and tried to think about saving taxpayer dollars by finding facilities that are less expensive. So we actually found another one that is closer to home in Jonesboro. Actually, Chief and Assistant Chief and I went almost 2 weeks ago and toured the facility and everything. So, Chief, do we have all of the juveniles we had in custody now at the Jonesboro facility?
They will all be transported tomorrow,
Okay.
the ones that were in Mississippi.
And
So-
how many do we have?
We have 4.
So there were 3 in Mississippi, 1 was in Ware Youth in Coshada?
Yes, sir. And we moved that individual immediately.
Right.
But we were trying to be frugal because we're not guaranteed beds in Adams County, Mississippi. Jonesboro does have beds that are available, but if they're not contracted with us, there's no guarantee there. So we wanted to make sure, once we do make that move, we had those spots and try to maintain the less expensive spots that are in Mississippi as well, because there are several other agencies and municipalities that are in the same position of either you pay $310 a day, or if Jonesboro, they charge $350 a day without a contract or anything. And so there's definitely a need for it. And right now we have the option of having those additional beds to put some individuals. It's nice having some place to put the repeat offenders.
You say Jonesboro is $350 a day
It would be without a contract.
without a contract, but we are going to have a contract.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And I think when we had them before, Mississippi was, what was that?
170
It's
maybe?
170 a day, but one problem we ran into is individuals that are housed out of state may not qualify for coverage. So if they're injured, which we had an incident where an individual was injured while he was there,
We're
the
liable.
police department would have to pay for the medical bills of that individual who was injured. And that's because they were outside of state. So that does present a problem for us, and that's, once again, we're trying to be good stewards of the funding that the taxpayers provide us. At the same time, keep the individuals from being back out on the street to repeat the same crimes that they were most likely arrested for.
All right, I think Jonesboro's going to be great.
Yep. Any other comment here? All right, seeing none, Mrs. Hamilton, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. All right, next we will ask one of the council members to give us a motion, to take ordinance number 072 of 2023 from the table.
Mayor, I so motion that we take ordinance number 072 of 2023 off the table.
Second.
Okay, I think we got a motion and a second. All right, to take this item from the table. Any comment about this? Okay. Seeing none, Mrs. Hamilton, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion is adopted. The ordinance is taken from the table. It's handled tonight by Councilwoman at-large Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. This is ordinance number 072 of 2023, which is an ordinance declaring building dilapidated and are in a dangerous condition and an order of condemnation and demolition of the same. Whereas the Director of Planning and Zoning and City Inspector have filed signed written reports with the City Council recommending that the buildings located on the property H-Town Hospitality LLC on the described property below be demolished, to which being the owners of H-Town Hospitality LLC, 14702 South Post Oak Road, Houston, Texas, which is shown on plat A.J. Bruyette dated April 27, 1979, which is the northeast corner and said plot situated on the south right-of-way of Louisiana Highway 3110, and from point of beginning run dense south 2 degrees 3.35 millimeter west 208.7. Dense runs south by 87 degrees 25 east 207.7 feet. South right-of-way of Louisiana State Highway 3110 being located at 7624 Highway 1 bypass. Be it ordained that the buildings located on the aforementioned property described above is hereby condemned, and it is dilapidated and are in a dangerous condition which endangers the public welfare. It is hereby ordered that actual demolition of the aforementioned property shall commence on December 14, 2023. It is further ordered that actual demolition of the aforementioned property shall be completed by January 14, 2024. And it's also hereby found that the pertinent provisions of Chapter 8, Article 4, Section 8 through 70 of the Natchitoches City Code has been fully complied. This ordinance was introduced on November 27, 2023, and published in the Natchitoches Times on December 2, 2023. And at this time, I don't wish to move to have this demolished, so I'm not asking that this be demolished at this time. Further discussion on it.
Yeah, we do want to,
Table that.
as Councilwoman at-large Smith has said, we do want to allow some discussion here. We have Mr. Parth and Mr. Maggio.
Yes.
Mr. Maggio of New Orleans, Mr. Parth of Houston. Mr. Maggio is the general contractor, Mr. Parth, they're the owners. And of course, Mr. Billy West, Natchitoches native, has been hired as an attorney. So, Mr. Billy West, introduce yourself, and then
Sure.
we can hear from not only your clients, but also someone that they've contacted as a general contractor.
Sure. Billy West here on behalf of H-Town Hospitality, 5810 Highway 1 bypass. The John Maggio is actually a mold remediation specialist. He's not a general contractor. Another gentleman named Osman has been hired to be the general contractor.
Gotcha.
I provided to Chantrell a few minutes ago a curriculum vitae of a Glenn Ray. We had a very productive call, I thought, this morning with the mayor, with Alex Washington and Chantrell, where we answered some questions I think that Chantrell presented to all of us about the progress that we've made, or lack of progress we've made as well, and how we're trying to remediate that. So I'm happy to answer questions. Parth is one of the owners of H-Town Hospitality from Houston, Texas. And again, John is actually a mold remediation specialist, so he could answer any questions that any of you have. I appreciate what Ms. Smith said about not moving forward with demolition, because we are trying to comply. We hope to have the property inspected, as Ms. Chantrell has requested, no later than Friday by Mr. Fry. That will help us formulate a plan to remediate any mold that is still found in the building, which then Mr. Maggio would execute a plan once we get approval from Chantrell with our general contractor. There have been challenges for the last month finding a general contractor to get on board. So again, I'm happy to answer any questions about that, but we have been trying, is how I'll answer the question. And I think we've made some progress. We still have some goals to meet, and I thought we had a productive call, though, this morning. And again, I'm happy to answer anybody's questions.
Okay.
One-
Questions, anybody?
One of my questions would be, can you tell me exactly, you may not know, but if you can give me kind of a roundabout idea, how much progress has been made on the things that have been requested to do?
That's a hard question to answer, Ms. Smith. The problem we got is I think we run into some challenges with the requirements that Chantrell has put on H-Town, where there were some miscommunications for several months leading back into the summer, in August and September. So there's been a lot of cosmetic things that have been done, a lot of things to improve the looks of the property, but we haven't done it in the sequence that Chantrell wanted. So we've kind of got to go back and start from square one to make sure we're complying with what some of the things Ms. Rock has asked them to do. I don't think that's anybody's fault but H-Town's. And we've got to do what Chantrell is asking us to do in the sequence she's asking us to do it.
So she's giving you a list of things and on paper?
Yes, she has.
What you're supposed to do?
And some of that has not been done in the sequence she asked for. So I've been involved now for about 45 days trying to help with the communication and with the scheduling and frankly with the licensing. And again, I want to be a little bit careful what I say in a public forum about this, but some people that H-Town contracted with in the summer did not have the licenses that they portrayed to H-Town. There's some potential fraud involved in what they did. We've pointed that out to Chantrell.
No fault of their own?
Correct. But again, it's still our responsibility. It's still H-Town's responsibility. So we've got to correct it. But there's been a lot of things actually done, Betty, but it hasn't been done in the sequence properly. So we've got to go back and do the things that Chantrell's asking us to do to make sure we have proper permitting, because that has not been done to date. But as we said in December, we were going to try to have a contractor on board within 2 weeks. That didn't occur either because we had trouble with a couple of general contractors who, one, we thought we had an agreement with and had to revise that agreement because it just wasn't a fair agreement. One just decided, after telling us for 3 or 4 days he was going to do it, decided not to do it. So we've had some challenges. But the answer to the question is we're trying. We're trying to do what we need to do and trying to comply with the sequence that Chantrell is telling us we have to do it in.
Okay.
I think the one concern that a lot of us have is that the hotel or motel is continuing to be occupied to some degree without the mold remediation. It's our responsibility to make sure the health and safety of the citizens. And I just would like to know what we're doing about that. The city just went through, we're finally finishing up with the recreation center where we got into a mold remediation and we had to quit providing services out of that building. And thank goodness we're finally getting back to where we can, that the kids in the city need that building desperately. And it's basketball time, so it's time to get it open. But I feel the pain in that, but when you start talking about mold, that's a dangerous and unhealthy situation. So we need to be assured as a council that you guys are doing what you need to do to make that safe.
I hear you loud and clear, and I believe H-Town hears you loud and clear. They tried to do it in a way that wasn't in sequence to start with, and with someone who frankly duped them. So that's a different issue for a different day and not the city's business, but it is part of our explanation of what we're trying to do. We have some work to do. Look, the mayor's made it clear to me, safety is the issue. We're doing everything we can in the shortest time necessary. And again, I presented that to Ms. Rock, the CV of the guy we've hopefully going to have by the end of the week an assessment. Obviously, if the assessment is something that there are dangerous levels of mold, we'll need to report that.
Any idea how long it'll take to get that report back?
Within days, I was told, of him
Okay.
finishing it by Friday. Maybe Mr. Maggio could speak more clearly to that. He's the expert in actual remediation of the mold. But if there's a significant amount of mold or spores, and there's different kinds, the way I understand it, I'm no expert in mold, but maybe John could help explain it. John, do you have a comment about that, if you can hear us? He's muted, I think.
So you're saying it's been that hard to find someone to assess the mold remediation part? It's been.
I don't think it's that hard. I think there was just miscommunications, Betty, Ms. Smith, excuse me. I don't know how better to answer that. No, I don't think it's that hard. But I think there was some delays that were caused by miscommunications with H-Town. Yeah. But there are others that can do that work. So I don't want to mislead you about that. I think there's, this should have been handled differently and quicker. I don't mind saying that.
Okay.
This is John Maggio. Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so once Glenn Ray comes out there, he's going to need to take air samples in multiple locations. He'll take some outside as baseline. That will need to be sent to a lab. Generally, and we're talking a large volume of samples that's going to be sent off. Generally, 3 to 5 days is turnaround time for a lab. Then you have to take in consideration this is also a large project, and it's going to take them a little while to get a protocol. We're not talking about something that Glenn or anybody else can just snap their fingers and it's going to be done by the end of the week. I seriously doubt that's going to happen.
I have a question for Mr. Maggio. If during this process, mold is known to be there, but it's unknown, of course, what kind of mold or the dangers of it, is it typical a business does not operate until those studies are completed?
With the amount of damage that I saw some of the video of, typically we would need an IH to clear the building before we would let people back in, typically.
Yeah, and that's I'm looking at our city attorney now. That's coming, looking from the.
And I believe, that's what Glenn Ray would need to determine.
Right.
That's not something I can determine. I can't even determine it and give you, 100% by a picture. It really needs to be tested to determine what it is and what type, and is it dangerous or is it not? There's hundreds of thousands of different molds, and we deal with it every day. Outside conditions have more mold typically than inside. So that's something that Glenn Ray will have to do and determine, and he'll also have to determine the scope of work as well.
Thank you. And Chantrell, is the mold encompassing most of the building, the structure, or
The mold is throughout the whole entire facility. And I need to clarify that the requirements.
And by that, I'm sorry, by that you mean the rooms and the lobby area?
The hotel rooms, the lobby area, the conference room area, the kitchen area, the entire facility, the whole grounds. And I wanted to clarify about the requirements. The requirements that have been given to Mr. Parth and the hotel are requirements that are issued by ICC, International Code Council, for building regulations. The requirements that I've asked them to meet have also been issued by Louisiana Contractors Board for mold remediation. So I haven't asked them to do anything outside the parameter of what's required for state regulations for safety. The true mold remediation, if it had been hired or hired by a true mold remediation from the beginning, then they wouldn't be in the problem. They would have known what steps to be taken for EPA guidelines, for safety, for true mold remediation. So to say that I've asked for anything outside of that or requirements that are not or beyond what they can meet, the requirements are only given from the state. It's nothing that I've mandated outside of what ICC regulates for permitting. In a situation like this, the total job, a renovation job, a permit is only issued when we know what the total cost for renovating a building that size will be. We don't break up the job in bits and pieces. Cosmetic work is not separated out from repairing electrical work, plumbing work, or HVAC work. When you're doing a true renovation to a building, the total cost for everything is generated in one permit, and that's when a permit is issued. And then from that point forward, we move forward with everything else. What I required from Mr. Parth and the hotel, in the beginning, because of the way the hotel was situated with the leakage in the building, we asked that it be inspected because we did do inspections where we found mold to be throughout the facility. We asked for inspections to be taking place. Once we found that there was mold, it needed to be tested. From that point, then they will hire mold remediation. If true mold remediators were hired, then they would have known what steps to take, what needed to be done, and what procedures needed to happen. And I have reiterated from beginning to end what the steps will be. Get it tested, get permits, get your licensed contractor to take care of everything that needs to happen. When it comes to mold remediation, then a mold remediation will also know that a supervisor needs to be on site to make sure that all steps and protocols are in place to ensure that the remediation is done properly.
And how long ago was that when the mold was knowledgeable?
In the beginning, this was back in February. There was a storm that came through. Actually, there was actually a call that came through. Chief Wynn called me out to inspect. We all went out to see what was happening, and that's when we noticed the mold in the building. That's when we saw the leakage. Had we not come out on a criminal call, then we may not have known anything about it because we don't annually inspect hotels. We inspect restaurants and food establishments, but not hotels. So that's what started the whole process.
This was last year?
This
You
was
said
back in
Feb-
February and April.
February? I'm sorry. Which-
February and April.
April.
We sent notifications in April.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right, April, sometime in April.
Because my worry, of course, is we publicly have knowledge that it's there, and we continue to allow them to operate. What if something happens to somebody? What if someone gets sick? And I don't feel comfortable being on this council with that public knowledge and continuing to allow them to operate. Well, of course, an inspection hadn't been done, it may not be dangerous, but we don't know yet. And then what does that open up the city? What liabilities does that open the city up to?
Well, I think that we're waiting for that complete assessment, so we can understand what's taking place in the building. And once we have that in hand, obviously we got complete notice of what's in the building.
And
Right
we're
now, we
Then you can
don't,
move.
we don't know. There's a lot of speculation, there's been a stop and start of an assessment, but we don't know what's in it.
And from our phone call this morning, because I don't want to ignore anybody's questions or concerns, we don't know what the situation is. That is something my client should have taken care of several months ago to give you more comfort. But we're trying to alleviate your concerns and problems now. So from our call this morning, I didn't know we were on the agenda till I saw the mayor yesterday when we were exercising, actually, and ran into each other. But I would like to just ask the council for us to have some time to get the assessment done, because we don't know what's out there or not. There has been some work done, maybe not properly or in the right sequence, to remediate some issues that were out there already. So we don't really know what the status is right now, Councilman Harrington. But if you can give us some time, again, as Mr. Maggio said, once we get the assessment done, I was assured by Mr. Ray he could have at least the preliminary assessment done by Friday. Then if it's 3 to 5 days to get the lab results back, maybe within 2 weeks we can have more definitive information for you. Because public safety, as the mayor said to me yesterday, is the issue. Saturday, not yesterday.
Right. And I would just say this, because I know Chantrell has some images she would like to share. Is that correct?
Yeah, Mr.
Yep.
Steve had it.
But I tell you what, Mr. Maggio, I think you said something that is worth note in here earlier in our call, earlier this morning, just about the structure of the building itself?
Yes, sir. So from a structural standpoint, the building does look healthy. It doesn't appear to have any substantial damage. Inside the building, of course, did have some. And the cause of that was obviously roof damage. And some of the remediation was done not properly and really needs to be re-inspected. But at the same time, this is not something that can't be remediated. This building can be saved. I've saved a bunch of them. I've gone through Katrina, so I've saved quite a few buildings. This one would be practically easy for me to save, provided that the financial resources are there to do so.
Thank you, Mr. Maggio. Now, Steve, Ms. Rock's images that she wanted to share.
Now, the images that you're gonna see are images before they started renovations in the building. The images are the pictures that we saw when we were called out, when there was a criminal element there. We showed up, Chief Wynn and myself. Then you'll see a second set of pictures where they started doing work, again, without a permit, and that has been one of the biggest problems. Yeah, they may have done cosmetic work, yes, they may have done work out there, but under Louisiana state contractors' review, that work is negligent because it's not done properly with proper permitting and licensing. That's another issue that we've had. You can't do renovations work without the proper licensing and permitting information.
And are you able to share the screen with Park?
There should be a way
Sure.
to do that. He's got it.
Thank you.
So this is what we found when we came out. This is just one of the pictures in one of the rooms and one of the conference rooms. And throughout the whole facility, you'll see pictures of this, of the roof, where there were holes in the roof, where it molded. That mold is not from one day's storm. The mold that you see in these pictures are from years of neglect, not just a storm coming through and knocking a hole in the ceiling. The damage to this building is from pure neglect for years. So it's not like we had a hurricane come through, a tree fell on the roof, and we automatically overnight received mold. In a situation where we would have had flooding to take place, or say a tree would have fallen on that, then they would have had 48 hours to remediate that building to have it clean so it would not look like this, and we wouldn't have mold to this extent. All of the roofs, if you go through all of the hotel, you'll see the roof where you can see the stains, you'll be able to see the mold, just like that.
Chantrell, one question I have. Did the roof got...
Wait, stop right there.
Sure.
That's where the roof started, and you can see where it was going down the wall. I let the Louisiana State Contractors Board and to review a look at this, and he assured me that this is not from one day of a storm.
Absolutely not.
No, I don't think anybody would argue that.
Nobody would argue that, and that's years of, yeah, I'm sure, years of
The
rain.
the
and-
permit that was let for the roof to be repaired, is that accurate? That
Yes.
they did get a permit for the roof and they repaired the roof?
They did repair that roof,
Right.
but the hotel where the resident hotels are, that roof needs to be repaired also.
Okay.
Right now, currently, there are some pictures that'll show, as of January 6th, that some of the rooms are still having water to leak into the rooms.
Let me ask this question as we're going on through the movie, film. How long have these people owned this hotel, these particular
Since
owners?
2015.
2015, okay. So that's probably been there
Can I-
since 2015. Okay.
Mr. Maggio, go ahead. Is that you?
I think it may have been Parth.
This is a part,
Oh,
this is part, yeah, so those pictures are from our hotel. One thing was, what happened was, is that when the roofers were working in that ballroom kitchen area where some of those pictures are from, it's a metal deck, it's a metal decking, and whenever they were redoing the roof, they had drilled holes into the metal decking to put down that foam insulation they put before they put the layer on top of the foam. And that's when a thunderstorm had came in, so some of that stuff had fell in like one day. I know that pictures are bad, and I see that the issue was there. I just wanted to say that because we had an issue with the roofing company at the time because they drilled the holes on a day where a thunderstorm came in, and they had all the water coming in.
Now, did we say, Part, that those images we're looking at now, they're not in that state today, are they?
No.
Okay,
No.
that's been,
Yes.
at least cosmetically.
Yeah, Parth, you want to answer
dealt
that
with.
question? But yes, a lot of that has been, I don't want to use the word fixed, but it's been attended to.
No.
Yes, the sheetrocks have been fixed on that. And the roof has been 100% completed, on the whole property. I think Ms. Chantrell mentioned something about there's currently a roof leak, which I'm not sure. I mean, if there is it's on January 6th, you mentioned that there was a picture from a roof leak.
Yeah. There's gonna be.
If I may, that's a plumbing leak. That's not a roof leak.
But it's coming
Where,
to the roof.
I don't know,
Okay.
The picture she's referring to, I believe, we took, and it's a picture of a unit, but it is a plumbing problem, not a roof leak,
Okay.
just to clarify.
But just to clarify, yeah, they may have covered that up, but it was not treated.
That's fair. No, I understand. I understand your.
So that's the problem too.
understand.
You mean the mold has been
The mold
covered
has
up?
not been treated. Yes, they may have gone in, they may have repaired the roof, they may have put in new sheetrock, this, that, and other, but they have not treated the mold itself. So the mold is still there.
So the guy, so let me ask a question. So you saying that the one that had the permit,
The only permit we have is for the roof.
okay, so, but I was, reflecting on the guy that basically,
Right.
more as in said that he had the permit but didn't have the permit. So
You mean the guy that had the license to say he was a mold remediator?
Yeah,
Right.
so,
That did not have a license.
so that's basically, that's-
So the work is null and void.
okay, so.
That's what Chantrell's been telling us for 45 days. So we've got some things to correct. I'd just like the opportunity to get the assessment, find out what the actual spores are in the air and in the facility, come back, get the lab results, then we can report that immediately. I have no problem with representing to Alex that as soon as we get it, we'll send that to Alex Chantrell and the mayor and disseminate that to the council so we can address these issues. We don't want an unsafe facility either.
Okay.
And that's the issue, safety.
Number one issue.
Yeah, no, of course.
I have a question for Mr. Maggio. Can you hear me, Mr. Maggio?
Yes, I can.
I know nothing of mold mediation. You're the mold mediation expert. With what you know of this property, would you recommend they stay open until the results are completed?
I don't really think anybody's staying there to begin with. But technically, no, I probably wouldn't, but it's not my place to say so. It's an IH or someone above me to say that. But personally, yeah, I was offered a room and I didn't stay, so, I mean, you can take that for what you want.
He said I was offered a room, I didn't go. Oh, that's,
Wow.
I'm, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry, I do tell it like it is.
Look, one of the reasons I like Mr. Maggio is because of his frankness. And one thing he's told Parth and I is what needs to be done that complies with Chantrell's comments. So I actually hope you take his candor in the way you should, which is that we're trying to address the problem. H-Town is owned by the Bacta family from Houston. There have been some issues with respect to the understanding and communication that has happened for the last 5 or 6 months. We're trying to alleviate that. I like Mr. Maggio's frankness and bluntness because we're trying to solve a problem that is obvious, and we're trying to do it in the right way. So again, I would ask y'all, because we don't know, look, I'm like you, Eddie, I can't look at something and say that's mold. We need to get the professionals, and Alex will provide you the information, and then we can respond to it. I mean, that's the only thing I can ask y'all to do is let's get the science. Let's see what it says. If we have mold in there, we come back and y'all say, okay, we got 30, 45 days where it needs to be vacant, and we deal with it. But there are not a lot of people that are out there. I do think there's some. But at the same time, that's what I would ask y'all to do, because we really don't know. We're speculating. And I think we'll have that assessment. Should have been done months ago. Can't argue that. But that's where we're at. But we don't really know what's out there, Eddie. I would just ask y'all to table this for a couple of weeks, a month, and give us an opportunity to get the assessment and get it back to you. And then obviously we're going to be marching towards some result, Mr. Washington, here shortly.
Alex, I think you were getting up to say something. William?
No, I think he covered it.
Okay.
We just need to report right now.
Mayor, I'm going to, if I'm in order, if everybody's finished, I'm going to make a motion that maybe 30 to 60 days to give them some time to get this remediation done and go from there. Like you said, I mean, you're speculating right now. I know safety is important, but you're speculating. We don't know. We wait to, get this demolished, and we don't know if there's what type of mold, because all mold is not.
Because we could basically demolish something and then they come back and say it wasn't mold, then it come on the city.
And then we're liable for
proper.
something.
One final question, if I could, Ms. Smith, that I would ask Mr. Maggio to comment. He's in New Orleans, and he's dealt with mold after Katrina, as he said. But he's made definitive statements to me, and I'll ask him to confirm that. But he's dealt with many other buildings who are in much more dilapidated state structurally and from mold issues in New Orleans, where those buildings have been saved. He made a definitive statement to me, this building does not need to be demolished.
Yeah.
It needs work,
Yeah.
but it doesn't need to be demolished. And it's a 150-room hotel that can generate a lot of tax business for this city. It's been a good business. My dad was one of the first 10 people that built that hotel in 1970. It's a Holiday Inn, if y'all remember. That's when it opened.
Yeah.
In the early
That's
70s.
good food.
In the early, yeah, it used to have a great place. But that's how long it's been here. It was an iconic place, actually, here for lunch and that kind of thing for a long time. So it's a building that can be saved. I will say one last thing. The mayor asked a very direct question this morning on our phone call about the financial capabilities of H-Town to actually remediate the property. The Bactas made it very clear that they are committed to remediating this property and getting it back in shape. So again, they have 6 other properties in the Houston area. They have the financial capabilities to do this, and they've promised that they're willing to do what is necessary to get this property up to code and up to speed.
I'm okay with giving them more time to get back to where they need to be. As they stated, it's the foundation of it's there. It doesn't need to be torn down. But I'm okay with giving them more time if they're not operating during that time until we get the test results done. That's my worry. I mean, we did the same thing with the MLK Center. Once we knew there was mold, we shut the doors on that sucker. And there's mold. I don't know what kind there is, but you see the pictures. the color's black, it's black mold everywhere, but how dangerous it is, we don't know.
We don't.
But we know it's there, so until we know it's safe, I think we need to make sure people aren't staying there because they don't know any different. They don't even know it's there, but
Well,
we
look,
do.
I'll defer to the council. That's y'all's decision. I'm here to answer your questions and try to help facilitate a result. We just don't know. I think we're speculating if we shut them down. I think within 30 to 60 days, we can have a much firmer grasp of where we are scientifically and with the testing. So, again, I would ask for 60 days. I think Betty said 30 or 60 days, but 60 days to actually remediate the problem, not just identify it, but to remediate it.
I'm okay with 60 days to remediate if it's not operating. As per Mr. Maggio said, he said himself that they don't operate.
I think you say you recommend when the testing.
No, he said before testing.
Mr. Maggio, are you there?
I'm here.
What did you say? Can you elaborate again to us? Your statement?
What,
The statement of operating the building before the testing, can you basically give us more detail what you were saying? Because I know you were breaking up on.
no, I think more testing needs to be done in the building before we let people stay in those rooms. I was making a comment. I was offered a room, I didn't stay in it, and I don't, recommend until we know further.
Okay,
That-
so you
that
are
nobody
breaking
else.
up. You broke up, so you are recommending that no one occupy the building until you know further? Yes or no?
Yes, that's what we're trying to do, is determine if it was safe. I don't think anybody's occupying the building as of right now anyway.
They are.
So
They are.
Yeah, they
I
are.
don't know that. As far as I know, there weren't. But no one at this time. I think we need to get the assessment done, get the results back. Let's see what's in there. Let's get a protocol written. Once a protocol is written, I can give an estimate for the remediation. But until that's done, really, we're at a standstill. I mean, I'm willing to work with Ms. Chantrell. I understand where she's coming from. And at this point, until it's assessed, nobody can do anything right now. It's at a standstill until that's done.
So based on.
And any more, and for any more remediation contractor that comes and tries to give an estimate prior to a protocol in a commercial setting like this is not a contractor worth dealing with, because they're not following the law.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Maggio.
So we'll do what?
So how do we procedurally handle that?
I guess the
let me say this.
officers.
This is a, private business versus the MLK where we have more
Yes.
authority. We don't have the assessment. I understand what he's saying, he worked for that company, but I would at least wait another 7 days to see what we have.
What exactly?
Before you, it sounds like we're saying we're gonna shut the building down.
Right.
For business, yeah.
Without an assessment, complete assessment.
Because the assessment
so-
come back and say.
But clarity on when we will have this. Did you say 2 weeks, Mr. West, or?
Well,
And I knew
we
we
can
do
have-
our 30 to 60
He
days.
said the assessment can be done, we've been told, by Friday. What Mr. Maggio said also on the record was that he thought it would take 3 to 5 days to get the scientific testing back once the spores or air samples are submitted. So 2 weeks, it sounds to me like would be a reasonable time. If y'all have another council meeting in 2 weeks, put us back on the agenda, and we'll try to answer your questions then. And that may be a more appropriate thing, because I'm hopeful that we are speculating, and there's some mold, but not a lot of mold, and it's not dangerous. But there's going to be mold out there. I think we understand that. I don't.
Yeah, because, the illegitimate contractor that did do some work did remove a lot of it, properly or not properly. That needs to be determined now through the IH and his assessment on what they was done. I have a feeling a lot of that's gonna have to come down because of some code requirements for the sheetrock that was used. I think they used 1/2 inch when it should have been 5/8. But again, that's all going to be in his assessment. But a lot of it has been done. The pictures that were shown, a lot of that has been removed and replaced. So let's do this assessment. Let's get this out the way. We'll know, everybody will know what we're dealing with then. We'll be able to come back and we'll be able to tell you exactly what you need to hear. What we can do to fix it and how quickly and so forth.
Right.
But as it stands right now, I think the building can be saved, and let's just get the assessment done.
Just throwing it out there. As I've told the mayor many times, I really dislike tabling an item. I like to be able to vote yes or no. However, in this situation, it's got to be understood when a property gets into this situation and it gets before the council, there has been a lack of communication or an intent by that person to comply with planning and zoning. So that being said, we've already done a 30-day extension, and it appears that we're moving in the right direction, albeit it's a little slow. Tabling would give us the opportunity, if for some reason at any point it doesn't continue to progress, within 2 weeks we can pull this back up and condemn it. And Chantrell's file is thick. Just a thought.
I'm obviously going to keep beating a dead horse. I'm concerned with allowing them to continue to operate, especially when their own mediation specialist that they've hired says they shouldn't. I mean, we're not saying that. Their guy's saying that.
Yeah.
So,
Well, we have Attorney Washington here. I think he's already told us we can't shut them down from operating. We can't, they're private entities, is that what you
Yeah.
said?
They're
Right. Well, I'm
So
not saying.
they're not
It's
like
it's still,
under the
we can
city.
pull their
we have this legislation before the council, so y'all still have the authority to move forward. Now, you're asking my opinion.
Yeah, your opinion.
Without an assessment,
We don't know.
we really don't know. I mean, it sounds like from looking at the pictures, it should be there. But if he's saying they have it by Friday, and we come back in 2 weeks, I think we then have the information before us to say, if we need to shut it down, you're right, that's what he's, what he said, but he's basing his opinion on what he's speculating, but it'd be good to have that information before the council will make a decision.
Okay,
So y'all free
to move forward, okay. All right.
So we need to hear a motion.
what would that even be?
Oh.
Oh,
Well,
Chantrell?
I guess my question was, there was a cease and desist order that was already issued back in August. So does that not apply?
is,
Yeah, I mean, they never did cease and desist, so,
Right.
But we
And I'm
didn't
not aware of
have
that. I didn't
the-
know if they were served with that. I didn't know that.
yeah, this was,
Yeah, we sent them a letter back in the fall when we believed that we had the proper information before us. And we then learned that, I don't know who the contractor was, but it wasn't proper information.
And let
So
me,
we back
can I
in-
say one other thing too? That's the first I've been made aware that there was actually something served on it. I didn't know that. But and we can't rely on this because the person that did this didn't have, he faked somebody else's license with the Bactas. So understanding that premise, that person cleared some rooms and some common areas. So I'm quite certain that H-Town relied on that, not knowing at the time they'd been duped. So understand that may be some of their thing. It's not nefarious. It's just what happened to them. So I don't know if that gives you any comfort or not, but I don't want you to think these folks are being nefarious in their thinking. They're trying to remediate the property, but they haven't gone about it right. So I would just suggest, as Alex is saying, and I think from what Betty and Rose have suggested, what we'd like is some time to get the assessment done. I understand Eddie's point. Get the assessment, we want to know what it is. If the rooms actually have been cleared, because they spent $90,000 on these people. So we've got, some work's been done out there, even though it may not have been done or properly certified or licensed by somebody who was licensed. But I would only ask you to give them some time. Let's see what we're dealing with, and then come back to you in 2 weeks, 30 days.
Just a quick question,
make
Mr.
a
West,
decision.
and I know you.
Sure.
Do we foresee any delays with the assessment?
None whatsoever. I talked to Mr. Ray this afternoon. I presented to Chantrell his curriculum vitae. I think he's going to be on property tomorrow, and he made it clear to me on the phone today that he couldn't come next week, that he had to do it this week because of his schedule next week. So I'm anticipating telling you we can have it by Friday, because that's what he told me.
Yep.
Now, again, I don't know this gentleman. I only met him on the phone, but I have his CV. I provided that to Chantrell. He seems well qualified. He teaches mold remediation at LSU. Seems like an expert in the field. I don't know how to answer that, Mayor, other than the information I have at my hands right now. That's what he told me. If that information changes, I'll be happy to notify you.
And I got you.
immediately.
And we do have other.
I know Glenn Ray, he is a expert in mold. He's also an instructor. I think I even took a class from him way back.
Okay. We do have.
However, I still don't see him having a full assessment by Friday. I think we need to factor in not this Friday, but the following Friday. Let's just give realistic terms.
Yep.
And then how long, John, would you anticipate the science coming back from the air sample?
I think realistically, he should be able to have a report done by next Friday.
Okay, so that's still 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
So we've kind of heard, council, a few things. We've heard give an extension of 30 or 60 days. We've heard, I think by Councilman Nielsen, table it, go the 2 week path with no specific days beyond that. We've heard some from Councilman Harrington, allow more time, but with no people there, as in patrons. So we just need a clear motion on the table.
Mayor, at this time, I'd like to make a motion. I'm inclined to, it's up to the council, to at least 90 days. So if I would like to make a motion of 90 days to give them some time. I mean, it's just like these change orders, but I'd just like to make a motion to at least give them a 90-day extension.
Yep, and we could, all right, we could consider a couple motions on here and see which one survives, all right?
That's my motion, 30,
So
6,
first
9
motion
is
we
9.
have before us is a motion by Councilwoman Delores Smith to allow our owners 90 days to address this issue and revisit it in that time period. We would need a motion to move forward.
A second.
All right, motion has been seconded. All right. Mrs. Hamilton, at this time, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nielsen,
No.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
No.
PT.
Yes.
All right, the motion carries then on allowing 90 days to address the mold remediation. Did we say 90 days? I think we said 90.
90 days.
Okay, all right, good. All right, that motion carries, all right?
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
And I'll continue to try to keep the mayor and the council informed. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
all right,
you,
Mr.
sir.
West.
Thank you all very much. Good night.
Thank you very much. We're going to take over. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we're moving on to resolutions, as we have 5 to consider tonight. The first one is read by Councilman PT.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution number 003 of 2024, a resolution approving and supporting the ideas, principles, and concepts of Vision Zero for the city of Natchitoches and adopting the Natchitoches Safe Street Action Plan and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. Whereas fatalities and serious injuries from traffic and other transportation-related causes result in negative impacts on people and resources. Whereas further, the preservation of human life is a priority. Traffic deaths and serious injuries are preventable and a public health issue, and traffic deaths and injuries can be addressed through education, engineering, and policy implementation. And whereas further, Vision Zero provides a framework for reducing traffic deaths and serious injuries through a comprehensive approach. Whereas further, the Negative Safety Action Plan will be a community-centered plan with the intention of eliminating traffic-related fatalities and severe injuries in Natchitoches. And whereas further, the Safety Action Plan will have a focus on data-driven decision-making, a systems-based approach of proven safety strategies. Whereas further, the City of Natchitoches Action Plan has the goal of eliminating all traffic deaths and serious injuries on Natchitoches roadways by 2035, to be accomplished through the implementation of an intentional data-driven, community-based effort to improve transportation and safety for all users. I also move to adopt resolution number 003.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded. This has been stated a few times as Mr. Gambino has been to the council meeting before, or members of his team. I know everybody, Ellen So, we've gotten familiar with her as well. This is one of our grants that certainly Nick has worked very hard on, $280,000 grant through the bipartisan infrastructure bill. And, you know, we are in a really good position, I think, and hopefully we're successful. So we got the $280,000 grant to devise this Safe Streets Action Plan. There's a Vision Zero. Some of that may come up again by the federal government. But I'll say on the front end, Volkert and their people, and really good to work with. And I'm glad that they won the RF, what was it, RF something? What was it? RFQ? Yeah, okay. RFP. They won the RFP, okay. I know it was one of those RFs, okay. But we've got Mr. Jonathan Gambino. Steve, you can give him 10 minutes, and we are gonna let him share what he wants to share about the plan that's been developed.
All right, thank you all so very much. I will try to be very brief here. I know we've had a long night thus far. So thank you very much for allowing me to come speak. The purpose for me presenting tonight is to present to the council our final plan in hopes that you guys adopt the actual Vision Zero statement and the action plan, which would allow you to go forward towards those implementation funds. So real quick, I'm gonna give you a project recap. The SS4A, like the mayor had said, is a grant that came out of the bipartisan infrastructure law. There was $5 billion over 5 years. In order to get those dollars, you have to have an action plan, which was step one. We have now successfully completed step one. Step one is the safety action plan, which is a comprehensive safety action plan along with, now they've added some demonstration grant dollars to that. And what that means is you can do some piloting programs, you can do some pilot projects as part of those demonstration dollars. In order to go forward into implementation, your project has to be identified in a safety action plan. So we've put together our safety action plan for the city of Natchitoches so that you guys can move forward and get some of those implementation dollars. So your plan includes the following 8 things. It's the leadership commitment, the planning structure, a safety analysis, the public engagement, the equity considerations, the projects and strategies, as well as the policy changes, and policies and process changes, as well as a progress and transparency. Those are the 8 things that are required of a safety action plan. Your safety action plan has all 8 of those. So what is a Vision Zero? A Vision Zero is a strategy to eliminate all traffic fatalities and severe injuries while increasing safe, healthy, and equitable mobility for all by implementing safer road systems that protect all users. Specifically, your Vision Zero statement is that you guys will eliminate all traffic deaths and serious injuries on Natchitoches roadways by 2035 through the implementation of an intentional, data-driven, and collaborative effort to improve transportation safety for all users. If you guys remember from any of the prior presentations, there's a reason we don't say an accident. It's a crash, right? We made a big emphasis on that. We know that some of these crashes are correctable. We can do things. We are responsible humans. We can correct crashes. We have an impact over these crashes. So real quick, going to go over the public outreach. We had a number of outreach activities. We had a website with over 2,500 views by over 1,300 independent visitors. Nearly half of those visitors contributed to the survey on the map. That's great for this size city. In total, 466 people submitted a response to the survey from September 12th to October 7th. There were 25 contributors that left over 50 points of interest on our maps. We had the maps on the website. We also had the maps at our public engagement meetings. The public meetings were held on September 12th, September 14th, two of them on September 14th, actually, and then again on November 13th. The project used social media via the Facebook from the city, which we greatly appreciated because most of this traffic to our website was driven via Facebook. So all of the Facebook posts that the city made on behalf of our project were instrumental in providing that outreach. So again, thank you, Mayor, for allowing us to do that.
Thank you, Mayor.
I'll show you a quick chart. The draft report was posted on December 21st. The comment period ended on January 17th. The website had nearly 500 page views and over 300 unique visitors in that time. Over 150 people downloaded the plan. There was a big public push by the city after the holidays that led to the increase in web traffic and reviews in the plans, and you can see that in this graph. High level, the action plan identifies problems. We look at crash data, we look at your road network, we find where there are some issues. We then come up with some data-driven countermeasures. Okay, there's a lot of pedestrians that are getting hit at a certain intersection. Well, what can we do to improve that? Well, you can put out some lighting, you can put out some better crosswalk identifications. There's lots of different countermeasures that can be used for a specific crash. So we looked at all of these crashes geospatially, we looked at them on a map, and came up with countermeasures that we can identify that should correct those crashes by their location. Some of the project identifications, the top countermeasures were lane delineation, lots of striping, lots of raised pavement markers, those little reflectors that you see in the middle of the road. Lighting was a big one. Corridor access management was a huge one. Pedestrian crossing features, making our pedestrians feel safe as they cross the street. The locations you can see are there. They're the big ones. They're the ones that everybody knows. It's Kaiser, it's Church Street, 2nd Street, 3rd Street. It's all the ones that we all know. This is a snapshot from the plan. These are some of the action items that the city will need to track via a yearly report card. So part of that progress and transparency is that you guys have to track how you're actually doing. What are the number of crashes? How many fatalities are you experiencing on your roadways? With the goal of those being 0 by 2035. And so that moves me to the next steps. The next steps we have are to adopt the Vision Zero resolution in the Safety Action Plan, begin pulling together some of the information needed for an implementation grant, and we are expecting the next round of SS4A grants to open in February, which this plan should be perfectly poised for. Other than that, this is our contact information, and I can answer any questions if anybody has any brief questions.
So in other words, we can go for the money in February with this plan.
That is the plan, and I believe Nick is already scheming.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, the question I want to ask, most car size, most of the wrecks is happen on Kaiser Avenue.
Mr. Sayers, I'm gonna need you to take your question from the.
Oh, I think he wants you to come up here so he can hear you in
from
the
the
mic.
microphone.
I'm
car size. Most of the crashes that daily we see is between ShopRite and headed towards Walmart. There's a four-way coming out of that Hodge Pillar, that green building over there. It's a medical center. There's a four-way right there. And to slow down the traffic, it should be a light, should be put there for safety reasons because of the fact that that slows the people from ShopRite. There's a zone all the way down, and people pick up speed. They don't drive the normal 35 on that. But if that light is put up there in that section there, I think it's right there by Pizza Hut in between there, it would save a lot of life. The most traffic violation, traffic we have, wrecks and everything, if you go back and look over the years, it would be on Kaiser Avenue, have the highest rate of wrecks every day. I was just over there last week, and they had one right out in the front of ShopRite store there. So, you know, when we speak of safety, we got to put these lights. You can't put bumpers going down the street because it's, you know, people tap their car, they want to sue the city and everything else. But if we can get something to slow the traffic down, and the engineers look at that, it would be something that you all need to kind of take it forward and look at.
Well, thank you for that comment. I greatly appreciate it. Those are the kinds of comments that made this action plan great and able to be led by our community, by your community. So thank you for bringing that to our attention. Kaiser Avenue, I believe, is part of the project implementation list, the project prioritization list, I'm sorry. That has been identified as one of the areas where corridor access management should be looked at, which includes some signals. It also includes potentially putting up medians and different things like that. All of that needs to be designed, studied further, but it was identified as a part of this plan so that you can go forward with going after implementation funds.
Well, once again, Jonathan, you and the team have been fantastic. We gave you a pretty tall order, I would say, and you knocked it out of the park. Of course, Nick Verrett, city engineer, I mean, he's been the point of contact. He's been fabulous. He's read through the whole plan. Do you go to sleep, Nick? You know? So he's read through it. He's given comments and things like that.
Absolutely.
So, Nick, I don't know if there's anything you'd like to say. Okay. Again, this is a $280,000 win for us. We're now nearing $35 million in less than 3 years. Around 3 years, I should say, so in different projects. So that's really good. And hopefully we get this one, what Councilman PT was saying, we'll apply. I think our team in DC already has it, right? They already have the plan? And of course, hopefully tonight, we could take draft off of it and adopt it. But like Councilman PT was saying, we can apply starting in February, next month.
Yeah.
And hopefully that would add to our $35 million total here pretty good.
Great.
I think we're in good position.
Jonathan, thank you.
Thank you.
Your team did a great job and did it pretty quick.
Yes, sir. Thank
You
you.
had some hard deadlines.
Yeah. No, you guys were really fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. No questions, council? Other comments? All right. Is there a motion? Did we make the motion?
We got a motion in a
Okay.
second.
We got a motion in a second. Okay. All right. Mrs. Hamilton, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right. That motion carries. Next item on the agenda is read by Councilwoman Washington Eli.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution number 004 of 2024, resolution approving the form of a letter acknowledging agreement regarding use of a baseball field located at the Dale Mill Drive, or authorizing the mayor to execute the same on behalf of the city of Natchitoches, Louisiana, And whereas the recreation complex includes baseball, softball, soccer fields, as well as tennis court, associated restroom, faculties, and parking lot. And whereas for the crack brown field has been used by the St. Mary's baseball team for many years, and field has improved for maintenance by the St. Mary's School for the St. Mary's Athletic Association during a period of time. And whereas the St. Mary's desired to make repairs of the crack brown fields, but desired to acknowledge of a long-term standing agreement between the city of Natchitoches and St. Mary's, and agreed to. And now therefore be resolved that the letter addressed to the St. Mary's School, which is attached hereby approved by the mayor of Ronald Reyes Williams, to hereby authorize to execute some on behalf of the city of Natchitoches. And I move to adopt resolution number 004, 2024.
Second.
He's gone home. I know. It's been moved and second. Any comments, questions? Here comes the mayor. Okay. I'll wait.
So basically, the baseball field St. Mary's used for damage, and they're gonna repair it.
Yeah.
And they're just saying as long as they repair it, they wanna continue use of it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They've been good steward of it.
All right, we got a motion in a second?
Yes.
Okay, I think everybody understands it's a win-win, I mean, so,
Seeing none.
all right. Mrs. Hamilton?
Eli,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington,
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries as well. Next item is read by Councilwoman at-large Smith.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. This is resolution number 005 of 2024, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute change order number 1 to the contract between the City of Natchitoches and Martin Metal Construction for building and site work improvements to the Public Works Building at 1608 Texas Street, bid number 0660. Whereas the City of Natchitoches awarded the bid to Martin Metal Construction on June 12, 2023 by ordinance number 032 of 2023 in the amount of $732,073. Building and site improvements, Public Works Building at 1608 Texas Street. Whereas on January 17th, my birthday, 2024, contractor issued change order number 1, whereas number 1 describing attachment A. Whereas the contract sum will be increased by this change order number 1 in the amount of $79,399, and the revised contract total will be $811,472. Whereas the contract time will be increased by this change order number 1 in the amount of 60 calendar days, and the revised contract time will be 265 calendar days. And whereas the project engineer, Normal Nassif, has recommended this change order, whereas the city is of the opinion that change order number 1 is in the best interest of the city. Now therefore be resolved by the Council of the City of Natchitoches that the Honorable Ronald Williams, Jr. Mayor be and is hereby authorized, empowered, and directed to execute the reference change order number 1 to the agreement between the City of Natchitoches and the contractor, Martin Metal Construction, LLC. And I move for adoption of ordinance number, resolution number 005, approval.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. We've got Mr. Norman Nassif here. He's the project engineer for us on this. So, Mr. Nassif.
Hey, good afternoon, council. I'm going to apologize to Dale. He might be the only council member. I'm usually coming up here with credit change orders. So this one kind of hit personal to me. I don't like change orders that cost cities money, but this was truly an unforeseeable item. And just to kind of give you a brief explanation. On the front wall, we were going to salvage that front wall. When the contractor got to the point he was taking the sheetrock off, we didn't realize that's what was holding that front wall up. Over 50% of that front wall is ate up with termites. Now, the termites weren't there, the damage was done and gone. And again, as many times, for over a month, I went to that building, measuring that building, there were 0 signs. And again, both as an architect and an engineer, on both sides of the industries I work in, you run into unforeseeable things, but this was one that it's been a total shock. And like I said, I hate coming to councils asking for change orders like that. They're usually positive change orders, but I just don't see any way around this. I do think when we finish with this building, you're going to have a great building. I think the front's going to be improved. I think it's the right place for the building. But again, it hits personal for me, but I'll entertain any questions you may have.
So it's the complete front side of that building that's got to be replaced?
Over 50%, or if you're looking at the picture, from right about where look at the door on the left and the window to the right, all the way to the right. It was very odd because it's all wood framed and it has a brick on the front. And like when we measured the building, and don't get me wrong, as the engineer, I battle constantly between being an architect and engineer. The engineer side of me studied that building. So the back side is very beautiful. That back side was built probably right at the end of World War II. Wow. If you ever haven't been back there and look at the back building, it's really a neat building. So they added on to the front of the building. And usually what you see with brick, which is on there now, you'll see little cracks. And we get called to inspect houses and stuff, and they go, oh, I got a crack. I said, no, that's just temperature and shrinkage. And there was none. There was no settlement on that. Now, when the contractor removed the sheetrock, you go look at that from that side over to the right, it's falling down. So again, it's one of these deals. Again, I pride myself. We've worked really, and I want to give credit to the contractor too. We've had other things come up in this building, and he's worked with us. He's worked with me in the past. He knows I hate change orders. It's just a running joke between he and I. It's like, nope, you ain't getting it. Nope. So it's just one of these things that come up. And like I said, I hate to be here telling you this, but it's just unavoidable. It truly is an unforeseeable condition. And like I said, there was 0 signs. There were 0 signs of termites, or you didn't see any of the droppings or the dirt daubers. You didn't see any structural as far as the brick in the front. If you go out there now, you can see gaps that deep. But any other questions?
No, appreciate you
Yes, ma'am,
saying what you're
anytime.
saying about change orders. I appreciate your comment about not
I'm not
liking
getting
them,
a pat on the back tonight.
But
I
it's
know.
it's looking good. The building is looking great.
Thank you so
though.
much.
It
I think
really
you're
is
going to end
doing
up with a
great
good building.
job.
So if you do have any questions, give me a call. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you a lot, Norman. I know we've got a motion and a second. Mrs. Hamilton, roll call vote.
Eli,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. Next item is read by Councilman Nielsen.
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution number 006 of 2024 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute change order number 2 for the 2023-24 street rehabilitation project, bid number 0663, whereas the city of Natchitoches awarded the bid to Regional Construction LLC on September 25 by ordinance number 56 of 2023 in the amount of $802,099.90 for the 2023-24 street rehabilitation project. And whereas on November 13, 2023, the City Council approved change order number 1 in the amount of $8,003.50, making the revised contract total to $810,103.40. And whereas on January 9, 2024, the city engineer, Nick Verrett, issued change order number 2, fully described in attachment A. And whereas contract sum will be increased by this change order number 2 in the amount of $18,600, and the revised contract total will be $828,703.40. And whereas the contract time will be increased by this change order number 2 of an additional 3 calendar days to be revised, total of 66 calendar days. And whereas the city is of the opinion that change order number 2 is in the best interest of the city, now therefore be it resolved by the council of the city of Natchitoches in legal session convened that the Honorable Ronnie Williams, Jr., Mayor, being is hereby authorized, empowered, and directed to execute the reference change order number 2 to the agreement between the City of Natchitoches and Regional Construction LLC. And I move that we adopt resolution number 6 of 2024.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded. Nick can provide some more information.
Nick Verrett, city engineer, and let me just go ahead and state for the record, on the heels of what Mr. Nassif has said, I'm not fond of change orders either, so just so everybody knows. Yeah, this again was an unforeseen site condition. Once we did the clearing work along Fairgrounds Road, it became, we uncovered a situation where we have a hazardous situation in that there's this existing head wall, concrete head wall that's in close proximity to the edge of the roadway, and really we need to extend it in order to get it further out and to eliminate a drop-off situation there. So I did attach a photograph of the situation to the change order draft. So I'll start trying to do that also. That makes it real obvious when you see what the situation is. And so anyway, we're recommending, and we only had to do, we're doing extension of contract items except for one new item because it's a different size of pipe that we have to extend other than what's in the contract. So I think we've got a good pricing on all of that. So anyway, this will eliminate any potential for, for a drop-off situation where it could be a hazard to motorists. So.
Was that like around that curve?
It's in the curve.
In that
It's
curve,
right, the first curve off of
Yeah.
the Highway 1 bypass. Yes. Right. Any other questions?
What's the timeline on that, having that street completed? Just like the timeline?
As far as Fairgrounds Road?
Yeah.
Actually, were it not for weather, they had planned to do the base work actually a couple of weeks ago. They had planned to start right after the first of the year, but of course we've had temperature issues and that affects base course construction as well as the rain. So pretty much as soon as we get some good weather, they plan to come in, get the base work done, move on to Carver Street, get the drainage work done and the base work done. So I think they're committed to finishing the project as soon as we get some decent weather.
Okay.
Yes, sir. As well as the new tie-in between the two streets, Simmons Alley and Sewanee Street. They're committed to doing that as soon as the weather breaks also. So,
Good.
yes, sir. Any other questions?
Any indication as to when we think the weather break?
I'm not a weatherman, but I want that to be my next job because you never have to be right. So when I leave this job, that's when.
Weatherman.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Nick. All right, did we hear a motion?
Yeah.
All right, motion and second. Mrs. Hamilton, roll call vote.
Eli.
Yes.
Nielsen.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, motion carries. Last item on the agenda is read by Councilman Harrington.
Resolution 7 of 2024 is a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute change order number 2 to the contract between the City of Natchitoches and Dixie Overland Construction LLC for the wastewater collection system rehabilitation, Grand Decor and Mill Street lift stations. And whereas the sum contract will be increased by this change order in the amount of $46,351, and the revised contract total will be $565,228. I move to adopt Resolution 7 of 2024.
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded. It's there, Matt. But you got any other thing?
Well, this change order is kind of in two parts. The first part
was we decided to cut the roadway at Woodyard Drive to install the new force main. Some of you may remember, I know Don does, where we cut the Woodyard Drive right near the intersection. Reason being, there's an 8-inch water line there. We did not know the exact placement of it. It's under the roadway, so we had a choice of just start digging up the roadway to look for it, or just have the contractor, instead of boring under Woodyard Drive with a boring machine and possibly hitting it, just go ahead and cut the roadway and lay it in open cut, what they call open cut versus boring. So we made a judgment call in the field. We don't know where that water line is. Just cut the roadway, lay it in traditionally, not bore it. Okay, so that's part one of the change order. And the part two of this change order number 2 is actually, was part of the actual original bid. It was bid as an alternate item. So the wet well at Mill Street Lift Station is very old. It's partial concrete, partial brick. So we had them bidded as an alternate item that once we got the project underway, that we may or may not line that wet well with concrete. And now that the project is underway, we've got in there, we've inspected the wet well. Now's the time we're gonna line that wet well with concrete. So that's part 2 of this change order. I will remind everybody that this is a DEQ, Clean Water Revolving Loan project. So 1/3 of this amount will be forgiven. So once the loan is closed, the DEQ is gonna forgive 1/3 of the loan, meaning they'll pay 1/3 of that loan back on our behalf. So in the original contractor's estimate for this whole project for the 2 lift stations was $935,000.
Right.
But the bid came in at $497,000, plus
Cool
this
deal.
change order brings it to
That's
$565,000.
good.
So we're still
Way
well
under.
under what we estimated the project was gonna cost to begin with.
So you're talking about the grant we'll get, I think that was 312,000 worth of.
Yeah, well, it was 312 based on the.
But based on the
original,
900,000.
right. So
I
it'll
got
be
you.
1/3. They're gonna forgive right now at about $186,000
No, I
of
got
this
you.
project will be forgiven.
And then that's a really low interest rate too, right?
Correct, 1%, I believe, or
So-
0.95%, less than 1%.
So grant and low interest. Hey, good deal for us.
Great deal.
Yep. Any comments, questions, Councilman? All righty, Mrs. Hamilton, roll call vote?
Eli. Yes. Nielsen.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Harrington.
Yes.
PT.
Yes.
All right, that motion carries. All right, we just have a few announcements. Our next meeting is on the 12th of February. Yep, and then also, still, it's a new year, but same old announcement. Want you to download the Go Natchitoches app. Okay? All right, there's a daddy-daughter night happening tomorrow night at Chick-fil-A from 5:30 to 6:45. Reservations are required. And they're doing a lot of different events, family game night. You know, there's always something going on over there. So looking forward to that on tomorrow. I personally am. All right, this is the crew of Dionysus. This is, just the parade's coming up, but you've got the Clucherville Parade taking place on the 3rd. And then you've got the crew of wagons on the 10th. That's going to be at 3 p.m. That's in the pet parade. That's a really cool, first time participating in that on last year. And then you have the actual parade at 6 p.m. So always a well-attended parade. So, and they're going to go with the route that they had on last year. So looking forward to some fun with that. The Best of Natchitoches, the top 3 finalists will be recognized and awarded accomplishments. I think we have fire in the best of what? Public services, is it? Fire has been nominated. They made it to the top 3. So, and so we've got some other businesses, obviously, throughout town who have made it. So certainly want to support. But they have the information there for in terms of your tickets and things of that nature. All right. Is there another one, Steve? Oh, that's it? Okay. All righty. Okay. Good. I think we got some right. We got to hit that motion. All right. At this time, we hear a motion to adjourn.
Mayor, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Meeting is adjourned. Have a good night, folks.
Steve.